bird sitting on a tree is never afraid of branch breaking.
Because her trust is not on the branch, but on her own wings.
With that, Assalamu alaikum, very good morning and a very warm welcome to the world of changing perspectives. You're tuned into World This Morning. The name is Shahzad Khan and with me I have...
Maha Mukhtar. Welcome everyone. I hope you have your teas and your coffees ready because we have another great show for you today.
Well, obviously, you know, whenever we come up with a show, it is supposed to be good and great at the same time. But today we're going to talk about expressions and different dimensions, how we can express what we have inside us.
Yes, we are. So we're going to start with that now?
Yeah, inshallah, we will.
Okay, great.
So the sort of guest we have today in the studios right now, she's the one who has maintained the sanctity of inheritance, what we inherited from the subcontinent. She's the only one who has been there, who stood up for that reason, and she has maintained it so far. So at the very moment, we would like to share a small package for you guys so that you could get a hint of whom do we have within the studios with us. So just go take a look at the package first, and then when you come back, we'll talk to her about how did she do it all.
Dance when you're broken open. Dance in your blood. Dance when you have no words to express your inner stirs and spurts. Dance to break the shackles of slavery, tyranny, and all forms of oppression and suppression. Some dances have enduring appeal. They touch our subconscious admiration for their classic style. Kathak dance is one of them, which is more than the poetry of organs. When the goddess of Kathak dance, none other than Nighat Chaudhry, dances it in a state of ecstasy. For her, the Kathak dance is the language of the soul, heart and mind. A Kathak dance performer expresses turmoil and tumult in his soul through harmonized movements of his organs, letting the turbulent ocean of his inner world flow out in tranquility and serenity. When a Kathak performer spins anti-clockwise with the anti-clockwise movements of the universe, the rhythm of the world gets connected with the rhythm of the dance. The performer transcends the bounds of his body and is transported to another level of existence. The fever of Kathak grips him. He feels the universe is dancing with him. Then each and every step of his Kathak dance reflects the motion, stir and harmony of universe. The treble of ankle bells give the impression of a waterfall. The fluid-like movements represent dancing leaves of nature. The ecstasy and rapture of fabulous performance mesmerize and transfix the Kathak lovers, alienating them from old surroundings. Then the performer, culminating to a marvelous intricate footwork, smacks his foot on the floor in a deft maneuver to wake up the audience with a rattle of ankle bells from the world of bewilderment and amazement. The audience could not help resist a rousing round of applause. That's exactly why Nighat Chaudhry repeatedly emphasizes, I can never be an entertainer only.
My dance is not just dance, it is Sufi Kathak. This whole thing of looking inside, so it's not just the body, the soul. So the soul is what reaches out, not the body. The body disappears. My art form is love. I'm not an entertainer. I have nothing to entertain about. I am a messenger. I have come to say something. I have come to refine the soul. I have come to tell the soul to wake up.
Kathak is based on mood, melody and rhythmic beat. Kathak dance is mainly founded on Nritta and Nritya on one hand and Tandava and Lasya on the other. In Nritta, a tremendous sense of rhythm and joy of dance movement is made audible by musical accompaniment and dancers' intricate footwork.
Kathak dance is basically all about your inner strength that you get out of the belief that you have in Almighty and in all the arenas of love and the nature that you have. It is the love you get and the love you give.
Nighat Chaudhry I enjoyed very much. It was beautiful, you know, and very elegant.
In Nritya, the performer dances to tell a story through facial expressions, gestures of the hand and symbolic postures of the body. Kathak, a vehicle for all emotions, is a dance of communication, reflecting the total philosophy of life. Now, what distinguishes Kathak from other dance forms are its spontaneity, freedom from uniformity, and the room for innovations and improvisations. Fahad Ahmed Misson, PTV World, Islamabad.
And that was a package on none other than Nighat Chaudhry, who we have in the studio with us. Welcome, good morning.
A very good morning to you, Ji, and thank you very much for keeping intact our heritage. And whatever you are doing, it has been great so far, and you have been so expressive. How do you manage to do that?
Keep the expression, or how?
You know, at the same time, you know, you're dancing and the expressions, the hand gestures, the body language, it's just so perfect. So since how long have you been training yourself?
I just feel that, you know, I think having the expression is not something I've worked on. Right. It's just been there.
Okay.
As a young kid, I've always been a very expressive child at school. I was always part of drama. I was always part of acting. I used to play the recorder in the assembly in London. By the way, I grew up in London, so you know. So I used to play the recorder. I used to sing in the assembly. I was always expressing through the performing arts.
Okay.
And dance was always something that came very natural to me. It wasn't something I really worked on, you know. It was like my soul was always ready to just, you know, dance.
Because you started dancing at a very young age, but you started off in a different area. You started off as a ballerina when you were 5 years old?
I started learning ballet, and
ballet.
I wanted to be a ballerina.
Oh, okay, yes.
And I did modern dance, and I was kind of gearing myself up towards that side.
Okay.
But as I was 3 months old when I went to London, so I didn't really know where I'm from as much, you know, as a young kid, that I was from Lahore or was I from Pakistan. I knew my parents were from Pakistan, but I'd never been to Pakistan. So I had no idea of my background in an experiential way. So when I came into Kathak was when I met Nahid Siddiqui, and she was at an Indian Cultural Centre in West Kensington in London. And I saw her performance, and I was amazed when I found out, oh, she's Pakistani, because I thought all Indian dancers were from India.
Right.
She was the only subcontinent exponent of Kathak that was from Pakistan, from Lahore, and I knew that I was from Lahore. I was born in Lahore, and you know, and I was from Pakistan.
You figured out later that, you know, I'm from Lahore.
I mean, the connection for me, straight away, I had that spiritual connection with her.
Within.
Okay, there's something about this woman. So I started learning from her, and then my whole journey back, coming back to Pakistan, she said, you have to go back. You have to feel the soil, you have to know your country, you have to know how to pick up a pitcher, a matka, you have to know how to hold a dupatta. Right. I mean, I'd never worn a shalwar kameez in my whole life.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, so the journey back
was
through when I started getting into Kathak, and I was about 13 when I started doing Kathak.
But what do you actually express, you know, at the very moment when you're dancing? What do you feel inside you? What do you have within? How do you feel, you know, all these hand gestures and the looks and the
You know, it's very interesting because I'm a very spiritual person in the sense of my being, you know, and I follow a very clear spiritual path. So at times I just feel that I just feel God. I feel a light. I don't really see anybody. I don't even see myself.
So you just enjoy yourself.
No, it's not even about enjoying myself. It's about being connected.
Right.
And
With?
connected within to a certain, I just see light when I'm on the stage.
So that you're on a different plane, basically.
Yeah, I'm on a different plane.
But
So
the soul and body are on the same scale at the very
they kind
moment.
of merge, like I said, my body dissolves, you know.
Okay.
So I think whatever I'm doing is like being downloaded,
Okay.
you know, from the above,
But is
from
it-
the higher consciousness.
Okay.
And it's my body just becomes the tool to what's expressive.
So it's like a very spiritual feeling you have within
It
you.
is, yeah, and it's become more so, and it's getting more and more heightened the more I get
Wow.
into it.
So is dancing a better way of expressing, or singing, or listening to music?
I think, you know, I mean, all kinds of performing arts, any artist, when they're in the performing arts, there comes a time when the art for them becomes so refined and it becomes so beyond, you know, the mind and the body and the desires.
Beyond the limits.
Yeah, and it just becomes pure light,
Okay.
pure expression. So there's nothing, you know.
So
most
then,
artists.
when did you finally figure out that, you know, you wanted to be a Kathak dancer rather than being
I
a
don't
ballerina?
think, you know, I never carved out my life. It's a very, you know, lots of people say to me, how did you start dancing? And I always say, no, I don't think I started dancing. I think dancing started for me.
Okay.
In the sense dancing was there and it just took me, you
Yeah.
know. I didn't carve out that I'm going to be this and I'm going to be that, and no.
Because we were discussing earlier that it's very, you feel like it's very natural because in
Yeah.
your family, you and your brother are
Yeah.
the one with the rhythm and with
Absolutely.
with this whole sound. Because your mother, you said you can't, they
She
can't
doesn't
hold a
even
beat.
clap in rhythm. We're
Yeah.
always hiding. No, the other interesting thing is my brother has a dance company in London, and he's also graduated from the Place Theatre as a contemporary dancer.
Okay.
Very nice.
So, and he's older than me. He's, you know, but he used to always say, you know, sis, you have it naturally. You know? I have had to work very hard, and he
Okay.
formed a dance company called Images. But now he has his own dance company, and he's the producer of the company. This is one of the biggest in the world today, and it's called
Fantastic.
the Akram Khan Dance Company.
Okay.
But
so
how do people respond to that, you being a dancer yourself? How does the
Pakistan,
how has
Pakistani
it been?
society
It's
respond
been a
to that?
struggle. I won't say it's been
Yeah.
easy because, you know, dance is not looked upon as something respectable.
Exactly.
So there's been a lot of struggle, even within my own family, especially when I said to my parents, I want to come back to Pakistan.
Right.
And they said, oh my God, you know, do you need to go back? And I said, I need to find myself. I need to do it. So there was a lot of struggle first within the family, you know.
Right.
And then they say, you know, the dance is looked upon as, you know, something from the red light area.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know the concept of the red light area. So I
Okay.
said, what is that? Until I came to Pakistan and I understood, you know, I said, but hey, you know,
Yeah.
this is an art form. So that made me stand even stronger. And I fought my family a lot. I mean, I got disowned a lot, but
Right.
now everyone's kind of, you know, my family's kind of accepted it, but it took a long
It
time.
was a taboo earlier.
It was a struggle. It was
Because-
hard. It was
because-
hard. And in the society, it was, you know,
Because the thing is, Kathak itself, it's an ancient art form. You know,
yeah, it's 5,000 years.
exactly,
yeah.
and you know, it was even used in the Mughal era in the royal
In the
courts.
16th century, you see, Kathak
So-
has basically its evidence in Mohenjo-daro, which is like 5,000, which Mohenjo-daro in Sindh.
Yeah.
The civilization, the dancing girls, so there was classical dance.
Right.
Then we come to 14th century, which is Hazrat Amir Khusro, who improved, made the sitar and the tabla, which has become part of the repertoire of Kathak.
Right.
Then in the 16th century, we also have Wajid Ali Shah, who used to dance himself,
Right.
and he had 100 wives. So this is all history. This is not
Yeah.
something that, you know, I've made up or.
But
you know,
was
it's
it
all in
even
the
a mode of
books.
expression back then?
Oh
Yeah,
yes.
it's always
What,
been.
what sort of an expression was that back then? Just
Exactly
let
as
us
you
know
see
about
it today. I mean, the only difference is that I think that with the way that, because I have ballet training and I have contemporary training, so the way I use my lines or the way I use my footwork or the lightness is because of the ballet, because, you know, ballet is all about suspension, you know, being
Exactly.
up and light in your energy, and our dance is all about being on the earth,
Alright.
being grounded.
Yeah.
So the West is all about suspension,
Yeah.
and all of the East is about on the earth.
Being on the earth.
It's grounding. It's being.
So just tell us about Kathak. What is Kathak? Where is
Kathak means
Kathak
a
from?
story. It's a
And
storytelling
how was it
form.
originated?
It was originated through a group of women that were dancing in temples. All dance was in the ancient times, okay? And women danced in the temples, and they were married off to the temples. So they were trained, and the pandits and everything. So as that changed, then dance came onto the streets, and was a group of men, because women couldn't dance, they were not allowed to, only in the temples. So a group of men would dress up as women, play the characters, you know, different characters. And they would go around. This is the history of all classical dance, including especially Kathak. So they would tell the mythological stories, like Krishna, Radha, Ganesha, Shiva, you know, Saraswati, all the mythological, Hindu mythological stories. But through that dancing out the stories, they would educate people, because people were not educated. So all the Vedas and all the scriptures were danced out by the dancers, and they would travel. They were a band of travelers, and you know, they would, like gypsies, they would have their dhol, and they would have their, you know, harmonium, and they
Being
would
on the temples and dancing.
the ek tara, and they would go around and they would recite the stories, and it was a storytelling form.
Right.
All right.
Because I mean, because you in yourself, you do Urdu literature and folklore when you do your dances. So how has that translated from using Sanskrit and, you know, the Hindu stories to?
Because of being in Pakistan and bringing this aspect of introducing Nazm and Azad Shairi, and picking people like Faiz Ahmed Faiz to perform, and people like you know, Habib Jalib, and people like Ghalib, and people like Iqbal, and the people that are of who depict our part of our essence. So, you know, being in India, obviously I've lived in India for 8 years, and I did my training, and I specialized, and I went deeper into the form. But then I also learnt the Shiv Vandana, and I also learnt everything about the Hindu mythology, because that's important.
Exactly.
You could not take history away.
Absolutely.
It's part of it. But because I live in Pakistan, I choose to depict that what my society that I live in can relate to.
Exactly. And you know,
And I can impact, you know, and
absolutely.
give my message through that.
exactly. But since we can relate Kathak dance, you know, the origin of Kathak dance is definitely from classical dancing.
Kathak is, you see, we get confused here. Classical dancing is like a university.
Exactly.
Okay.
Origin
And
of
there
all
are
dances.
forms.
Yeah.
There are forms like classical dance mein you have Bharatnatyam, you have Manipuri, you have Kuchipudi.
Which we are unaware of.
Okay, these are all forms of the south.
Exactly.
Okay.
Kathak is the only form of North India.
Right,
okay.
right.
It's the only classical form of North
So
India.
what was the reason behind it? Is that the reason why you opted for it?
No, I didn't.
It was a spiritual calling for you.
It was just a calling. It was
But
a
you have
calling.
maintained a monopoly over here in Pakistan and around the globe in
I think
cultural
that's God's grace.
and classical dancing. So do you
God's
even
grace.
teach other people?
Yeah,
what you've
I've
learned
been teaching at Kuch Khas in Islamabad. I'm now starting with Aqs. I'm also meeting some organization which is the Sheikh Zayed International Academy, and I've been focusing a lot on children.
Excellent.
And I have also introduced a lot of new ways of moving, because to come into it's not important that every child should directly come into an art form that requires so much discipline. So I've created this style which is called creative dance play for young kids, to bring them into understanding rhythm, body coordination. And I've been teaching at the Lahore Grammar School in Lahore for the last 2 years.
Okay.
Very nice.
I've been doing my private school, my private classes, and I've also been working on classes because I've been training myself in movement empowerment.
Right, okay.
And I'm working because I've been studying the spiritual self, and I've been working with the chakras and understanding the how the body is and how to empower women with feminine energy.
Excellent.
Because we're so disconnected in our society, especially the women are not very aware. And I think women and children are the main of society. They're the most important contribution, because the mother rears the child, and the child, be a son or a daughter, goes further into society. So I'm teacher training myself.
That's quite good, you know, because most of the people who actually know such sort of things, they just keep it to themselves. So since
I'm going to start a center.
And you know, and dance helps actually to lift your soul up. But with this, we need to move for a short break, and once we come back, we'll talk to Miss Nighat Chaudhry about her personal life, how she has been, and what has she been up to so far. So you know, don't go anywhere. Just because it's time to wake and bake, rise and shine. Just hold your cup of tea, sit right there. We'll be right back after a short break. Don't go anywhere. It's a good morning once again on my behalf, on Maha's behalf, and Miss Nighat's behalf. So go for a short break. We'll be right back. Stay there where you are.
Welcome back, everyone. And before the break, we were discussing how Nighat Chaudhry is doing, you know, lots of classes, lots of schools, and teaching a lot. So before we move on to the personal side, Shahzad wanted to run for a break, and I had a question.
You guys can go to sleep again.
No, this is an interesting question. How you're doing a lot of teaching, so clearly it's being taken. A lot of people are warming up to the idea, and you're having a lot of students. So are you finding that male and female are interested in this, or is it particularly
where my Kathak is concerned, I find that it's based female. It's more, you know, because classical dance was looked upon as a very feminine thing. But in Lahore, when I was at Faiz Ghar, which is an institution that's based on Faiz Sab's, on all his, you know, works, and, you know, a museum on him. So I started working on empowerment, movement empowerment, which is movement therapy.
Right.
And I had mixed. I had men and women.
Okay.
It was quite interesting, where I wasn't sure whether men would come in, but I had, because it was open to any age, and I actually had men who were 40, 50, 55 coming in and just, you know, getting comfortable with their bodies, because the whole course was My Body, My Wisdom.
Okay.
And it was all about getting to know your body and being wise about your body.
Can we have a little bit of those movements while sitting, though? You know,
no, I mean, it was a process. It was like, you know, we would create trust. They would work in a group, and they would create trust, and they would discover how they could use their body. And, you know, if aches came up, we would identify why this ache is in the lower back. Why is it happening in the neck? Or why is it happening in the shoulders? You know, and what restriction of movement is happening. So it was because movement empowerment is totally about learning about yourself and what are the obstacles. And then we would sit and talk. Actually, when I was doing that movement, what happened to me? You know, I felt like crying, you know, because I would say to them, you know, okay, get on a chair, and I want you to express something really sad, you know, or express something really happy. This is all part of movement empowerment.
Fantastic.
So it was really interesting for me to see the response.
So now from movement empowerment to human empowerment, right, we'll be coming towards your personal life. So have you ever been in love?
Many times.
Many times. Wow. When?
Why
where,
once?
How?
Why once? Yeah, exactly.
I think it's great to keep falling in love, and, you know, because I think love is a ladder that keeps getting you to know yourself more and more. Because when you're younger, I came from a broken home, by the way, right, as a small kid. So my definition of love was very confused. My parents were like, I say, in a Western society, were very involved in themselves, and I think dance became the vehicle for me and my brother to heal and, you know, use. It kind of also became dance for us was because we could express the pain through it. You know, you either through acting or through singing, you can. So I think dance became the channel to heal.
Right.
My brother and I talk about this a lot. So as my parents, you know, were divorced and everything, so for me, My definitely, because you know that I was only 8, 7 or 8, I was very young, and the problem started when I was around 5 or 6,
Right.
and I just stepped into dance. So I feel that for me, I've been finding out about love. I still like am refined, and because of the spiritual path, I have a murshid, I have a spiritual
Mentor.
master who is not alive anymore, but he's alive. If you know what, the light is always there. He guides me in in my dreams, and so you know I've understood. Okay, there's a love which is ishq-e mijazi, and there's a love which is ishq-e hakiki.
Yeah,
So you know
exactly.
the spiritual divine love, and then the love with the human being. So I've been going through this process, which is very interesting. And my spiritual master had made me go through many experiences and said to me, you know, to keep the heart open. And even if you've been hurt 1,000 times, is to keep the heart open, because you keep learning and you keep growing and you keep learning and you keep growing. And if you close the heart, then you will not allow yourself to learn. They're all experiences. There's no such thing as good and bad, you know, good love, bad love. It's just love. You just either love, you get hurt, or you know, you refine, or you know, nothing's.
But since we are talking about love, you know, when was the very first time in your entire life that you liked somebody?
I don't know what.
Yeah.
When I liked someone,
Yeah.
I came very late into liking someone because I was in love with my dance. And I
that's what I was
remember as
going to
a
ask
kid,
you.
I was just dancing on the people were dating in London, and I was dancing, you know.
So I
To be
mean,
very
But
honest,
that's like
you know,
that's
no,
like a
no,
very diplomatic
seriously.
answer. Come on.
No,
No,
that's
that's-
absolutely what was happening.
All right.
Because
I was not. All my friends, they were all
So you were
gories.
so much into dance.
Oh
that,
yes.
all right, we've got a live caller with us. Assalamu alaikum. Hello.
hello.
How are you?
Hello. Assalamu alaikum.
Good morning.
Walaikum salam, Shahzad. Can you
Yes.
hear me? Can you
Yes.
hear me?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Hello, Sana. Can you hear us properly?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, Sana. So what do you want to say about the show itself? And we've got Miss
first
Nighat
of all,
Chaudhry on the show.
I'm so much happy to see Nighat Chaudhry in your program. You guys are doing great job by inviting such talented people in your program. So much happy and excited.
Well,
Thank
that's
you.
great.
Do you have a question for Miss Nighat?
Oh, yes, I have a question. I'm so much excited to see her in the program because I think these are the people who are actually promoting the positive image of Pakistan.
Yes.
Okay. Hello, Nighat. Assalamu alaikum.
Hello. Walaikum salam.
How are you?
I'm
You're
fine,
looking
thank
great,
you.
mashallah.
Thank you.
So,
Okay,
Sana, come up with your
I wanted
question
to
as soon
know
as
that
possible.
What is the best age of learning Kathak?
Best age of learning?
Yes.
I would say around 7.
7.
Around 7. It
Yeah.
means I'm old enough now. I
Yeah,
cannot
it's quite
learn.
late for
Yeah.
you, Sana.
It's never too late.
No,
You
no,
can-
but it's never too late. It's never too late. Dance is an energy that can be tapped into even at the age of 50.
I'm 26, mother of
So you know
1 year
you're
old
okay.
baby.
You can tap into it.
Okay.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Sana.
Okay,
Thank you very
thank
much for
you.
being with us.
I
All right,
have
but
one
for
more
all those
question.
people
Can
who...
I ask?
Yeah, all right.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay.
the caller is right
I
with
want
us.
to ask
Okay,
another question.
What?
Pardon? The
I
caller.
want
We
to
still have the
ask
caller
that
on the line.
you
I
said
think
it.
we need to say goodbye.
All right, thank you very much, Sana, for
Thank you
calling
so much.
in. A very
Keep
good morning
watching.
to you. Thank you very much.
So, okay, you were saying you discovered dancing when you were 5, and that's when, you know, problems in your home started. So, and you were saying it's a spiritual thing. So maybe that was a way of
Yeah, I
being
think
brought onto that path, which is
yeah.
really interesting. But you're saying anyone can learn at that age. So, you know, even we can learn how to do.
Yeah.
I can, you cannot.
Why can I can?
No, I think dance is such a thing that if you have a desire, then you can learn from any age.
Great.
There's so many women that come to my classes who say, oh, you know, we always wanted to learn, we always
Yeah.
wanted to, you know, and we couldn't do it when we were young, and we're like 35, 40, and I said, you know, do it for yourself. Dance does not always have to be something that has to be performed.
Right.
But
You
it
know,
has to be perfect at the same time.
Perfect?
Yeah.
No.
All the body gestures and the movements.
No, it doesn't. I think when you're teaching or someone's learning, it doesn't have to be perfect. Even I think you just need to express, because I'm just very blessed that, you know, that level has come from the light or come from God, but it doesn't mean that you have to, you know. See, if we keep going into perfection, we will never find ourselves. We will never make mistakes. We must make mistakes to learn.
All
to
right,
learn.
So
Because if you make a mistake,
so
then you
once
know
again-
what to do right
yeah,
next time.
once
You will
again, I
never,
will-
yeah, you never learn.
Once again, I will make a mistake, and what I'll do is that I'll come back to my own topic, you know, discussing your personal life with
Oh,
you
gosh.
at the very moment.
If they're
Since,
always
you know,
interested in women's personal
Yeah,
life.
he
yeah,
is.
she tends to be very serious at the very moment. But
So he likes to
let's
lighten
just
it up.
lighten it up.
Okay, so you
I'm
want
not
to
that
know about-
serious.
Did you got married?
Did I get
or
married?
were you married
Yes.
to music and dancing
No,
itself?
I did get married, and I got divorced as well.
All right.
So
So how long did the marriage
I mean,
take up?
did it affect your dancing as well? I mean, or would you,
Or-
when you're in love, do you get distracted from your dance?
no.
Okay.
Or was it the reason behind, you know, you guys not making out together?
no,
No. Okay.
that's never been my reason.
Okay.
There was only once in my life where I nearly married a guy who was a very famous person, and he wanted me to give up my dancing and everything.
Right.
Really?
Wow.
And we were madly in love and everything. I said, I tried, but I couldn't. And he was in the political arena, and so it was a tough one, because
that's
being
the
in
point.
politics and being married to a dancer in Pakistan was not something that the society could take.
Yeah.
So we ended up not getting married.
But that's
Okay.
the point I wanted to raise right now, and that was the only reason why I asked you such a question.
But that's
you know?
not the reason why I got divorced. My reasons for divorce were different. Were nothing to do with, because he was an artist as well.
Right.
So it's not like, you know, he was a filmmaker. So it wasn't like it was.
It was just something, it's
But you know,
separate.
It's a
even
personal
generally-
reasons, a
you
very
know,
personal
Even
reasons.
generally in our society, dance is not accepted the way it should be, you know, since the way you have been dancing has been very elegant, very classy.
But you
and
know
the
what
way
I
have
tell you,
projected
you know what
yourself.
I've realized? Even though we say, oh, it's not accepted and it's not this and it's not that, but it's amazing how many people,
Exactly.
when they see what is good and pure, they know it's good and pure.
You know, the
You know,
package
it's-
we shared with our viewers
one
right
doesn't,
now.
I haven't, you know, people turn around and say to me, oh, there's this taboo and there's this. And I said, you know what? I've lived in this country and I've never felt it. You
You've
know,
never
people,
felt it?
It's so interesting. I've not felt it as much as people talk about it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because I'm the practitioner, right? So I'm performing, I'm going around the world. When Benazir was in power, she used to take me everywhere. I went with her to America, France, Russia.
Wow.
And even adding up to that, whenever you're even performing in Pakistan, the arena is like full. So, you know,
I mean,
everybody is there, they
So,
support.
you know, when people say, oh, there's been this, and I say, well, you know, why? Okay, there have been struggles, yes, you know. And mostly in my interviews, people say, oh, it's this and that. But in my practical experience, it hasn't been as bad as it's discussed.
Absolutely. I think that's what it is. I think people
You know,
have...
my experience
Yeah.
is not as bad as the way you're most probably talking about it.
Because
All
people talk, I think they have too much time on their hands, so they like to talk about something and they like to make a big deal out of something.
Yeah,
which
and I've just
which
done
isn't a
it.
big
I
deal.
performed,
Absolutely.
you know,
But
and I'm still
ma'am, haven't you
performing.
ever thought about that, you know, you can even transform the dancing we have in our filmmaking, you know, in the film
know, not
industry
really.
itself.
I'm
you
not
can have an
interested
influence
in that
over it too.
area.
Why not? We
Just
can
not
get better
interested.
with that. Since we have you.
To be very honest, I'm just not interested in
So
that.
that's
Because
what
it's
we
more
talk
of a
Someone else
message.
will come and do it.
No,
Yeah.
but we want you to do that because you can
But I
do that. You
don't
can
want
pull it
to
off.
She
do
doesn't
that.
want to do it.
Why not?
I'm just not interested in films.
Because I guess...
You know, when I was in India, I was offered a film and I even shot half the movie.
Oh, wow.
And then?
And it was about a classical dancer.
Oh, wow.
And because of Babri Masjid and everything, unfortunately, I had to leave. So I couldn't complete the film. But, you know, I saw the Bombay industry very closely, and people like Farooq Sheikh and Nasiruddin Shah and Shabana are very good friends of mine. And I met people like Amitabh and Dalip Saab, and they all used to say to you, join in, and Shabana and everyone, Farooq Sheikh used to say, you join art movies, you're so much like Smita, you know, you're so much like this. And I said, you know, if I go this way, then I can't dance.
Right.
All right.
But where Lollywood and Bollywood and all the commercial dancing is concerned, it's never been my, you know, because it's a different application of dance.
Well, there
In the
has
way
been-
that I do my dance, I would rather be interested in an institution and imparting that knowledge that way rather than, you know, going
Right,
into
the question I'm
industry.
going to put up, I'm not sure about it, but you devised something with an Australian director
You
What
came up
was
with some
it?
concept.
There was a concept.
With an Australian director.
Yeah. No.
Dancer.
Yeah,
Yes.
dancer.
The Wahab Shah.
All right.
Okay.
Yes, there is a boy, a fabulous, we've done a lot of fusion work together.
All right.
And we're now going to India together.
Oh, wow.
All right.
And we're doing fairs and with fairs in India.
Okay.
And we're doing it with contemporary dance and Kathak.
Okay.
And we're presenting it in Hyderabad, Deccan and Delhi.
Wow.
And what
So
sort
how
of
is that? Like, I mean, have
Yeah.
you done? Has anyone seen it yet?
Yeah,
or-
yeah, we performed it at the PNCA.
Okay,
and
and
we did it in Alhambra.
Oh,
So it's like a
fantastic.
merge of both the sorts.
Well, we're using both our style because we've worked on salsa and Kathak as a fusion.
Yeah. Okay.
And we did a lot of those performances in Karachi. We were experimenting. So now we have experimented with Faiz Ahmed Faiz, who's a very serious poet,
Yeah.
but bringing contemporary dance and Kathak and working creative. So it's the work is really
Once again,
lovely.
I'm really sorry that I have
Fantastic.
to cut you, but we have a caller with us. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
Madiha,
Welcome
how
to
are
the
you?
show.
Yeah, hello.
A very good morning, Madiha. How are you today?
I'm very well and I'm enjoying the show. It's such an energetic morning for me.
Yeah,
Excellent.
Bringing
Lot of
dance
energy,
into
huh?
the life and beginning your morning with dance, and I think nothing could be better.
Madiha, since it's quite a difficult job to get your hands on Miss Nighat Chaudhry, so Maha and me are just so eager to ask questions that we kept on cutting each other. So, if you feel like asking questions, just go ahead because we might pop up with a question at the very moment.
I want to ask how Kathak dance relates to the spirituality and how you can explore your inner spirituality through Kathak. Because, I have seen the program, and before that I know that Miss Nighat Chaudhry is a very spiritual person. She's like into such stuff. So I want to know how you can, explore yourself through Kathak. Is there a possibility?
Madiha, we'll get that answered for you, but do you
Okay.
love dancing yourself?
No, I don't dance as yet, but I'm thinking of learning.
Fantastic. You should.
All right, that's good.
Great.
Thank you very much for calling us in. We'll get that answered for you. Thank you very much.
I think that's a very interesting question.
Yeah, that
she
was, I was
asked.
going to ask
Yeah,
something
yeah.
about spirituality as well.
Yeah.
But so let's answer.
No,
some
I
of
think
these
what
questions.
she said basically is that, as you go through learning, because of the emotions you have to feel when you're going through different characters.
Yeah.
So it makes you internalizes you. And then when you have to practice alone,
Right.
you're doing your footwork or you're practicing alone for hours and hours on end, that you end up going inside. You cannot be outside.
Right.
Because it's like, looking at a flame, when the yogis light a candle and they just look and look. And eventually you start going in without even realizing it.
Right. Okay.
It's like it penetrates. So when you're practicing alone or you're practicing with dance through Kathak, especially with me, that's how it happened. These dimensions open up because it's also, it can be a very lonely path because you're on your own most of the time. You're a solo dancer and you have to practice on your own. And you have to be with yourself, so you cannot but help going inside.
So now from Acme towards the conclusion of the show, if there's something you want to say towards to the entire nation who are looking you
The entire
right now.
nation, the entire universe.
The entire
What can I
world.
say? The entire world. We're international now. My message is basically, we should really recognize that being Pakistanis, we should be proud of it wherever we are in the world. We tend to believe that we are less, or that if we don't speak English, or if we are not educated enough. That's not what it is. Respecting yourself and knowing that you're a Pakistani and being proud of your culture and being proud of your country. And I always say, be proud of being a Pakistani. And own your culture, own your identity, don't hide it. So, wherever you are, and because I know PTV is international, and there are lots of people out there in America, in France, Germany, Europe. So always own yourself like every other country does. I've noticed that as citizens, we tend to play ourselves down a little, so don't do that.
Yeah.
Just shine. Shine as a Pakistani.
Very well said.
Fantastic.
So Maha, coming
Thank
over
you so
to
much.
you.
Yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And it was enlightening for you because I really enjoyed this show today.
Yes,
and I
obviously.
think I want to take up Kathak because I need to. It's good to you know, find your own self and be proud of who you are. And I think that's really good.
So you should just start dancing from today onwards. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thanks
It
so
was
much.
a pleasure
It was a
having you.
pleasure.
And
Thank
for all
you.
of you who are tuned into PTV World right now, very good morning, a very good day. And you can always log on to our Facebook page, which is with the name of World This Morning. We keep on sharing our pictures and views on the page. So you can always follow us there. Till the next time, it's
Tomorrow.
a goodbye on behalf of Maha Makhdoom, Shahzad Khan, Ms. Nighat Chaudhry and our entire team. It's a goodbye to entire Pakistan, to entire universe, to the entire world. Take care, stay blessed, stay resolved. Allah Hafiz.